Welcome to Did You Know with Richard Utley. During this 1-hour program, join us as we take a look at today's headline news, Richard's views, history, inspirational interviews, and much more. Did you know this program airs every first and third Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube? Here's Richard now. Sit back and enjoy today's featured presentation.
Well, good morning and welcome to another Did You Know? Well, we got an exciting program this morning for you. It's going to be very informational. I hope that you jot down some information because I'm sure it affects all our families in one way or the other. So I think this morning's program will be very informational for everybody. Well, let me start off like I always start off. Is number one, those of you who have not registered to vote, the clock is ticking. Those of you that want to get involved in the political process, the clock is ticking. As I've shared with you before, we're going to have to form our own coalition and make sure that the things that we want and that we need in our communities are addressed. I keep saying that. Those people who do things for us, we should support. And those people who don't do things for us, then we need to punish them and make sure that they don't get reelected again. So I've been saying this all along. Number two, school is getting ready to start, and it's up to you, your responsibility to get involved into the schools that your children go to make sure that they can get the best education that they can get. Well, number three, I always talk about history because I think history is very important to us. And since I think history is very important to us, I just want to bring up a person. Young people won't know who I'm talking about, but people like me will know who I'm talking about. And I'm talking about George E. Johnson. He was the founder of Johnson's Products Company. And the reason I brought him up is because we need to start doing history and saluting people that has always been trailblazers. He's the one that started the Johnson products company, Errol Sheen, and things of that nature. But my point is that he died at 99. He founded the company in 1954 with a $250 loan, personal loan into the business part. And he worked it to change. And my point of this is that some of you have great ideas and you're entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs, and we need to encourage you and we need to support you. Matter of fact, my guest today is an entrepreneur, and we will talk about that as well. So I just think that now we should look in your neighborhoods and your communities and see who has been trailblazers, and let's talk about them. Because I'm tired of us. We always talk about Martin Luther King. We always talk about those kind of people, Julian Bond. But why don't we give credit to people in our community that's done a lot? That's number one. Okay, I have something else that I want to address today. And that is sometimes we need to do a little better job with our young people. I know that a lot of you are scared to go places because you're afraid of young people. And y'all call it teen takeover. And it's getting crazy. It's all over these cities. But the thing that I want to say is that we need to talk to young people. We need to hear what they have to say, and we need to be very supportive of them. I don't think there's enough dialogue between young people and older people. I think the problem sometimes is we have a tendency to tell them everything and not really knowing what they're going through. Sometimes they may be going some things that you may not be aware of. And so you get upset with their behavior. But I think it's very important that we don't do that. And the reason why is that because sometimes these young people make decisions and they do things that they don't realize that later on it may have an effect on them. The last thing I would ever want to see is a 14-year-old, 15, 16-year-old kid. And, when they grow up and they get mature, they can't get a job or they can't get in school because of a criminal record for something they did when they were young. So I think it's very important that we have to take a responsibility. And so I'm going to close with this here. I'm going to put a word up on this thing. Accountability. We're going to have to deal with that word accountability. So your assignment today in my program is that accountability. I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to repeat accountability. Think about accountability in terms of your family, but think about accountability in terms of young people. We have a moral responsibility to look out for our young people. They're our next generation. So let's just stop writing them off and saying they ain't going to be this and they ain't going to be that. And let's encourage them and let's support them because they are our future leaders of America. And you have to need to sit back and talk to your young people and tell them what I just said. When you're young and you do something that don't make sense, and you realize 15 years later it comes back to haunt you. And I think with that, I think this today by saying accountability, I think my guest is going to be a person that's going to talk about all those things in terms of accountability. I have the good fortune of bringing on my good friend, Angel Fox. You know, as I said, my good friend, and I'm hoping I'm her good friend. I may not be, but I'm hoping I'm her good friend. And I want Angel to come on, but I want to do two things before we talk about what she's really doing. But I want you to tell my audience who you are, who you are, and then once you tell us who you are, then tell us why you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you to my good friend. You are my good friend, my gym partner, my gym friend. I'm Angel Fox, super entrepreneur. I've been doing community work my whole life, I feel like. I've also been doing pardons and expungements before pardons and expungements were a thing. Um, my passion has always been criminal justice. I think I have like three criminal justice degrees or a paralegal degree and two criminal justice degrees. But my passion is criminal justice and casework, simply because I come from that community where we miss out on opportunities. And a lot of my friends were in and out of jail and in and out of placement and not having the services that we need in our community. So I wanted to be that gap to fix it, to fix the problems of my friends going to jail or not having the resources or can't get a job because they've been in placement or they've been in prison. And so it caused me to start Fox Family Consultants, where I'm able to go in and not just help people, but help businesses navigate what a criminal record looks like so that our people can have a second chance. And not just our brown and black people, but all people have a chance in my community. So, accountability.
Well, in saying that, you've taken on this role, and a lot of people have not taken this role on. But you just said that you did it because of friends and probably his family as well, because we both have friends and family that this would affect. But you have a passion for this, you have a gleam for this. So, what made you drive to do what you're doing?
Um, I was pushed. I was pushed by an older white man. He walked into my job one day and he said, God led me to you. And I said, huh? He said, God led me to you. He's like an 80-something-year-old man. And he's like, I need an expungement or a pardon. And I'm kind of smart, you know, so I'm like, it can't be that hard. So I did the research, but this man kept coming back. And I was like, I don't know. This sounds like a big thing. I don't know. I don't know. It's something I never did before. And he pushed me and he pushed me and was like, God said for me to come to you. Like, for whatever reason, I did my research. Finally, we did the paperwork. He was on top of me weekly. You know, his wife thought he was cheating on him, on her because he kept sneaking off to me because he didn't want her to know what he was trying to do. But he had a crime on his record that he took for his father. And then he pushed me to do it. He pushed me to do the paperwork. Once I did the paperwork, he told people, he told his family, and then the word got out that I could do expungements and I could do pardons, and I figured it out. And now I figured out how to do them and do them seamlessly and do them the best way possible for the people. I'm not going to say our people, for the people.
Is it hard for people to come to you, and especially people who might have some criminal stuff records but nobody knows about? They don't want to talk about it. It may be 10 or 15 years ago. And sometimes, and I know this does happen, and sometimes what happens is that They never talk about it, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, they apply for some job. And all of a sudden, boom, it comes up. And then they want to pardon or expunge it, but it's kind of like hard to do. So how do you make people feel comfortable who's kept that secret for a long time? Didn't want to tell nobody they have a record for whatever reason. And especially, and I know this for a fact, especially when you're young and you do something crazy. And then when you do something crazy, then 30, 40 years it comes back and bites you. I had a situation when I had worked in state government, and a young man, older man, wanted a job. And the reason he didn't get the job is because he had a criminal record. But here's the crazy part. He lived in Philadelphia, and he was a group of kids or whatever. And somebody said somebody broke the store window. He said he did not do it. But the cop said to him, look, just go ahead and just plead that you did. It's a minor offense, and don't worry about it. And he didn't tell anybody. Had he went to some adults or some other people, they might have been able to help him. But because he said, I don't want my family to know, I don't know anybody to really know, so he agreed to it. And guess what? 20 years later, it came back and hit him in the face. So how do you make people feel comfortable who want to come and share with you? I have a mark, but nobody knows it. They may have never told their family. This man didn't tell his family. He never told his father. He never told anybody, which if I probably from hearing his story, had he told an adult, I think it wouldn't have gone maybe the way it went. So how do you make people feel comfortable to call you up and say, look, I had a record way back in 30 years, but nobody knows. It could be for sure. It could be for anything. How do you deal with that?
So first of all, that is a loaded question or a loaded comment, because I've seen every crime. I've seen every crime you could think of come across me. I've probably gotten people pardons for every crime. And there's a myth you can't pardon sex crimes and you can't do this and you can't pardon murders. I've seen it. I've wiggled through the system enough to navigate, but I treat everybody like family, because I would want, if my family walked through that door one day, for them to be treated with such care and confidentiality and passion. I'm passionate about what I do. My success rate is 93%. It's not 93% because I just take people's applications and I take people's money and I submit it. My success rate is my success rate because I care and I'm compassionate and I get stuff done. So I'm not in these streets talking about, oh, remember Mike from back in the day? He had a sex crime on his. No. And I've created this mental niche that, and it may not be a niche, but it's a blockout method that I try not to look at people's crimes. I try to look at the greater the charge or the greater of the crime, if it's a misdemeanor one, a felony, or whatever the case may be, and not look at the crime specifically so that I don't remember it. So when I see that person, I remember that I helped you, but I don't remember what's on your record. And then because I helped so many people with their criminal records, I couldn't tell you what they had anyway if I didn't have this technique to forget people's stuff, so that when I see people or people see me in public, we're not discussing their personal issues. So that's one thing. Another thing is treat people how I want to be treated, or how my parents would want to be treated. If my parents walked in the door and was desperate for help, treat them with the care, the kindness, and the love and passion you would if they were your own. Another thing is, I hate that people, like you said, commit crimes as a young person and then forget about them. That's why our homeless rate for elderly is so high. We get people that have committed crimes when they were 18, 19, 20 and forget that it's on their record. And here they are 70, 80 and need to get into housing or income-based housing because their spouse died or their children died or they don't have nowhere to go. And now they can't get into housing because they got in a fist fight 50 years ago, or they sold drugs 50 years ago or something. So I've seen different levels of crime, or they got in a college fight and forgot it was on their record. even though it's 50 years old, housing criteria are housing criteria. So then people don't get housing because of it. So it is definitely levels to it. And I tell people, if you have the chance now to get it off your record, regardless of where you are in life, regardless of how successful you are, regardless of the path you're taking, the marriage you're in, get it off your record. You never know what happens. I had a case where a guy was married and he died and everything was in his name, and his new wife moved in and they were together for years, but nothing was in her name. He died. The kids wanted to put her out the house. She had nowhere to go, and she had something on her record where she had gotten a fight in college. She couldn't get into income-based housing or anything because of it. She ended up being homeless because of it. So again,
it's very important what you're saying. Listen, what you're saying is people need to deal with reality. If you've done something, it can come back, like you said. Public housing is a very interesting one, because I at one time served on that board. Was that people want to get in because they need it, but then they use that as a saying, well, no, because you have a record, or because you know had a situation where 45 years ago 5 people was together, and so you all got arrested for drugs, even though you may not have sold it or participated, but because of the report and it's in there, and now you need housing and you can't get it because you have a record. So you're telling my audience that be honest with yourselves, look in the mirror, and start to make some movement to try to get that off.
yes.
Now, people think it's hard to get these things off. Now, I am aware in my little research that there's thousands and thousands of, we'll just use Pennsylvania, thousands of people that want this. But yet, explain the process to my audience, and I will just put it with the 5-member board that they have. So you got all these applications, and you got thousands of people would want to apply, and you got 5 people that makes that decision, and it's either majority or per se, right? Am I right or wrong on that?
You're right.
So could you explain to my audience why it's so difficult and so hard to even get pardons or expungements?
So before, and people don't know this, but I was this little black girl that sat in a state office that started this pardon thing, and then it grew, and then it grew and it grew and it grew, and it became a thing. And then we started having pardon and expungement expos, which nobody was having, and then people realized it worked. So now the system is clogged if you fast forward 13 years. So I've been doing this like 13 years. So when nobody was doing it, people were getting pardons in 6 months to a year. Now that everybody's doing it, it's up to 2 to 4 years for people to get. And the board only sees a certain amount of people a year, and that's people that are on the streets and people that are in the prisons. So people that need pardons, people that need clemencies, the board has to see a certain amount of people. And so the process is, for me, the process isn't long to get your application done and get you in. It's only as long as the person takes to get the paperwork to me or to sit down with me. But the system is clogged because people feel like they serve their time in prison. They should get out and apply right away. So it's people that are clogging the systems that don't qualify, but you also have the whole state of Pennsylvania. We're not talking about just Dauphin County. No, it's the whole state. So you have the whole state trying to get pardons, expungements, clemencies, and whatnot. And so there's backlog through the roof.
Okay, is there a lot of paperwork that a person has to do to prepare to even come see you?
Yes. And now we do it seamlessly in our consulting firm, but yes, they have to get their complete criminal record. Some people think they could do the shortcut and get it off of the USJ portal. But I tell people, look at this as if it's your application for a job, and you have to have a resume, a cover letter, the application, and references. Those are kind of the same things with the pardon application. You have to fill out the application. You have to have your complete criminal case files, and then you have to have 2 character letters, your ID, and any volunteer work or degrees or any accomplishments you want to attach to it. Some people come to me and they have their stuff legitly put together neatly and perfect. Other people, I have to pull their teeth, I have to counsel them, I have to encourage them, I have to do all the things, because some people look back at their life and be like, oh my God, I was that person. I was that prostitute. I was that drug dealer. I was that murderer. I was that. And I have a no judgment zone, because I tell people I've probably committed crimes that I didn't get caught for. And so I try to make sure I'm relatable to the people that I'm serving. Like, there's no judgment when you come to me. Don't be embarrassed. We were all somebody one day that we would look back and be embarrassed about or shocked about. So again, no judgment zone. But
I agree with you, because I'm a believer of that. Nobody should judge anybody, because we don't know what somebody was going through. It's easy to sit back and say, "Oh, I would not do." You don't really know that if you have not been put in the situation. So I've always been a believer that you shouldn't judge people, and probably one of the reasons why is because I was judged many times, and so that I resented it. So why would I not feel the same way? So what you're saying to my audience is, if they're even, you're saying three things to them. I'm asking, one, be honest with yourself. And if you got something back, way back, you need to start to get that information now, because you want to try to take care of it. And you need to, you said go back and get their, they need to find out why they got arrested, the documents and all that.
their complete case files. And you got to be accountable. My other thing is, don't start this process if you can't be accountable. So I'm glad that you used that word today, because people have to own up to the crimes that they committed, and they have to be accountable for it. Because when they get in front of that board and they get in front of those people and they start asking those questions, and you start stumbling, or you're not remorseful, or you still angry about certain things, is going to bite you, because you've already committed the crime, you've already served the time, it's already been on your record for at least 10 years. Let's put it behind you. Like, own the accountability, and let's put it behind you. So, yes, get your criminal records, set up a time to meet with me, and be accountable when you get to me.
Um, could you explain to my audience the difference of the pardon and expulsion, the two definitions of it?
So, an expungement is for people that have summary offenses, non-graded misdemeanors, charged and never convicted. You can't expunge anything outside of that, also unless they've completed ARD. A pardon, you can put anything on a pardon application, anything, misdemeanors, felonies. But in order to do a pardon, you have to put everything, every crime you've ever committed, because if not, it comes back to bite you. Under the new Meek, we call it the Meek Mills Bill, but it's the Clean Slate Bill 2.0. You can get your record expunged automatically after you complete a pardon and gotten it through the governor's office. And so those are the differences. One only does minor crimes, other ones does all crimes. An expungement, you have to be criminal activity free for at least 5 years. No ankle monitor, house arrest, no new cases, no probation, no parole. And then for a pardon, you have to be criminal activity free for at least 5 years, no probation, no parole, no ankle monitor, no house arrest. I know that's a lot, and I blaze through it because it has been a repetitive thing in my life. But I tell people, when I say no house arrest, no ankle monitor, not from the time you got convicted, but from the time that you've maxed out from prison or from probation or parole. Once you owe nobody anything, no time, no nothing. You can still owe costs and fines, but no time. Um, and so those are the differences in my eyes, to break it down.
Okay. So what you're saying is, okay, people have to be honest with themselves, accountable. Let me ask you this: what crimes cannot be pardoned?
Every crime can be pardoned in Pennsylvania. They used to frown upon like sex crimes. And so the board is willing to meet with anybody, no matter the crime. And I've seen people with certain sex crimes and certain um, murder convictions and stuff get pardoned. And I even be shocked at some of the crimes. I've seen people with 14, 15 cases come in front of me and they get it. And I'm shocked. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I would have even pardoned this person. But I've had a lady with 15 cases. A lot of her stuff was drugs and prostitution and due to her addiction. And so the board was lenient because they knew she had an addiction that caused her to commit all those crimes. I had a woman that murdered her husband decades ago, and I don't know why she never did time or if she did time, but she later got pardoned within a year. And this was for me years ago. So I've probably seen a lot of crimes. Yeah.
But the most important thing you're saying is giving a person another chance. Because as you said earlier, we've all done things, and everybody needs another chance, another opportunity. But one of the things you said, and it kind of made me think about it, especially those people, like you said, it could have been 30, 40, 50 years ago. They don't want to talk about it. They blocked it out, and it's there. And like I said, like you said, if you end up wanting to become a senior citizen and you want to go into public housing, it's going to come back. It's there. It's just, it's there. So it's easier to go ahead, even though it's gone a long process, to at least get it done.
Mm-hmm. And especially even our young people, like you said, our young people are taking over. But I get a lot of young people that come in front of me that are 18, 19, 20 that just get into trouble. And you're like, why didn't you complete ARD? And it was like it was never offered. Like our system sets out to fail us before we start. Because if a kid gets out here and they get in a fight, why were they not offered ARD to get it off their record in 90 days? Because they complete ARD, they complete a class and then they complete ARD and then they could get it off their record in 90 days. But it's not offered to us sometimes. And so when people call me, I'm just like, why didn't you take ARD? It was your first offense. It wasn't offered to me, or I didn't know, or I didn't have the money. And I'm just like, you couldn't have got a quick credit card to put the $500 on for the ARD program, or $1,000, or you couldn't make pardon and expungement. You couldn't make payments or something. So it starts back there when the crimes first start, because now this kid got something stuck on their record for 10 years before they can get it expunged off, or 5 years before they can get it pardoned off. So it's just different levels to it. But I tell people, like you said with your story, like talk to an adult, talk to a parent, talk to a paralegal or somebody before you take a deal or you just do some time. Like meet with somebody, because when you start this record, you stuck with it. A girl rear-ended me texting a couple years ago before I had my daughter, and she was texting. I didn't call the cops on her or anything because I knew A, they were going to take her license, B, she was going to get charged, and C, she would have went down another road. And she was a young girl, young single mom, but you rear-ended me, and she caused me to have a miscarriage. And I don't even think this girl even knew that, but I knew the road that she would have had to travel down. That would have put her in another position. Mm-hmm. And so it's just those little things that starts taking a person down a rabbit hole they can't recover from.
So what would you say to my audience that you think is very important for them? You've already pretty well said, okay, you have to accountability, you have to live up to. You have things 30 years ago that nobody wants to remember. You don't want to remember yourself. I do understand. But it would be best to get that stuff off your record, because you never know. Would you say that's the most important thing?
Yes.
Get it taken care of.
Get it taken care of. I even have guys, and these are one of my major clients that come through the door, is guys that are truck drivers now or entrepreneurs now, and they've been making money for years and they've been successful, and now their business is elevated, and now they got this criminal record where they can't apply for funding for grants and stuff, or they can't get on the Army bases because with their truck driving programs, because again, they have a criminal record and the devil doesn't play. So housing, elderly stuff, but get it done now. It hinders so many people, and our people are so, let's just call it ignorant, because they'll say, oh no, I'm good. I got my own business, or oh no, I'm good. I got a house. I don't need this. You never know where you're going to end up tomorrow. Whether it is a business opportunity or whether it's a housing issue, you never know. I'm pretty sure my 80-year-old lady didn't expect her husband to die and not have anything in her name. And then she's homeless because the kids put her out, So get it off your record while you can.
And I think that's important. And like one of the things that you said, and that's why I have this program, Did You Know, is to bring people on so people can talk about different situations. And if they talk about this different situation, because it's about knowledge. One of the things, like you said, if you don't know, like you said, a lot of people don't even know what ARD is. I mean, I might know what it is, and you might know what it is, but if it's not presented to you, you may not bring it up. And so, like you said, it's important to get all the information, get your files together, because it could come back to get you. Let me ask you this here. Based on your knowledge and the work that you have been doing and the passion for it, because as you said, this 80-year-old man pushed you into doing this, would you encourage other people to be very supportive of their family members to get this done? Because sometimes they need support, because they're in a car but they don't have no support. So would you tell my audience that they need to be supportive of their family regardless of what they may have done 10, 20, 30 years ago?
Absolutely, because it is a heavy process. It is intense. It brings up old wounds. Like, I have to encourage my clients all the time, like, I got you. And I walk them through it. It's not like we fill out an application and then we're done. No, I stick with the person. If they got questions, I help prep them before they have their interview with the board. I do all those things because some people go through the process alone because they don't want their spouse to know or their family to know. Some people literally don't want to die with it on their record. They want to die with dignity. Or some people think if they die, it'll say, oh, well, Mr. Utley died at the age of 100 and he had an extensive criminal record. So people don't want their families to find out. So for those that are open with their family about what they're about to experience, I encourage families to support them through the process and show up and support them through the process. But even if they don't, my team does. We encourage people and we support them throughout the process, and we help them get letters of recommendation. What I would love to see is more employers bring me in to communicate to their clientele and their employees to get their criminal records cleaned up so that they can hire them from within. So if there's businesses out there, I would love to come in and work with your population so that you can hire within, and you can elevate those people that have criminal records but can't move up to take those positions because of their criminal records. Let's build your company up from within.
So, so could you tell my audience just step by step what the process is, to give them an idea that it's going to take some work, it's going to take some time? Okay. Because sometimes expectations are very misleading. They may have an expectation, because a lot of times I'm sure people come to you and they think you have a magical wand and you just wand them through.
Yes, they think I'm an angel, literally, and I'm going to snap my fingers and their criminal record is going to be gone. That is not how it is. When you reach out to me, we do a phone intake, and then we go from there. If you qualify, I think you qualify and you meet my criteria and the board's criteria, because my criteria is sometimes tougher than the board's, just because I need to make sure that you're ready. So we do a phone intake, and then we order your criminal history, your complete case files. And then I put the paperwork together. My staff calls and does another phone interview with you or face-to-face with you to answer the questions on the application. We put the application together neatly and according to how the board wants it. It's not just thrown together. And then we submit it. And then a week or two later, you get an email. I get an email stating that congratulations, your application has been received and that it is a lengthy process, and be patient with their team at the Board of Pardons. After that, it's just a waiting game. It's a 2 to 4 year waiting game. In that 2 to 4 years, you'll get another letter stating that they need to meet with you, whether in person or over the phone, to see if your life's changed since you submitted your application. Once that is done, then you get another letter in the mail with a hearing date where you go in front of the 5 members of the board, and then they ask you questions. I prep you before that interview. We sit down, I go over your file, I go over your charges. I ask you questions to see if you're accountable. If you're going to lose your cool, I ask you questions to see if it's going to trigger you, because they have a psychologist and a therapist and a victim's advocate and another person on the board, and they're going to ask you questions to see if you're going to lose your cool, and if you're remorseful, and if you really changed, and if you're going to take accountability for the crimes that you committed. And so I walk them through that a couple days before, and then they have their hearing. I watch, if I have time, I watch the hearings to see how the person did. I could pretty much tell how my client did on the interview, if they get it or if they don't get it, regardless if they qualify. Every once in a while, I'm throwing a curveball. And sometimes there's stuff that the board knows that I may not know, that my client may not know that they got going on. And so therefore, I get thrown a curveball if my client doesn't get theirs. But my success rate is high. But normally that's it. They get a letter in the mail that congratulations, they received a pardon. I tell my clients, wait 90 days before you trigger anything, before you try to go get your gun license, before you try to go put on a job application that you don't have a criminal record, anything. I try to wait 90 days and let's pull your background check again to see if it shows up. And if it doesn't, then we're in the clear.
But you say 9 days because you want to make sure everything's all the I's and cross the T's. Is that, tell me this here, do you find it's hard for people to admit that they have a record?
Our people don't come to me. I don't know if it's because they don't trust a Black woman or if they don't believe this Black woman is smart enough, but a lot of people don't come to me for whatever reasons. And then once they see my name out there and they hear it, and they do, because my reputation is amazing as far as my 93%. But some people don't come to me because they're embarrassed of the crime that they committed. And I tell people, again, no judgment zone. But yes, it's especially sex offenders. It's funny because they'll talk around it, but I've been in corrections and in criminal justice long enough to know the lingo of a sex offender that is going around it, or even woman beater, because I'm a big domestic violence advocate. People that have charges from where they beat on women or they have domestic charges, they're embarrassed to come to me because they think that I'm going to judge them. No, I'm probably just not going to date you ever, but I'm not going to judge you, you know. So yeah, a lot of people don't come because of the crimes on their record. But again, we all once was somebody. So.
No, I agree with that. I guess the issue is this is your passion. This is something that you've been doing, and you have some things coming up. I think we have it on we're gonna bring it up on screen, that some of the things that you're doing. Here's one right here. This is in Harrisburg. Even though I have people that listen to this program and watch this program, you'd be very surprised. In many states, in many places, people in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, they watch this. But the key is knowledge. The key is to have information to understand it. And so we have one of her things up here, and she talks about part 6 sex story. Why the young man that you have up there? Just give us a little bit of why you have him there and why it's important.
So every time I do a part in an expungement clinic or expo, I try to make sure I bring a success story that I've helped get done. Now, people do their own work. They live a criminal-free lifestyle. They put in the work. Um, and me and Amici grew up together in the same neighborhood, um, Allison Hills, south side of Harrisburg. And I did Michi's, and he was a little difficult. Not his crimes or anything, or his crime. I don't even know what he had. But he was a little difficult because he's, got a smart mouth. But I'm just as tough, and I'm tough on people when we do the paperwork. But he's a great success story, coming out of Harrisburg, an entrepreneur, a businessman, a great father that raised successful kids. I played tennis against his daughter, who's in high school right now. But Michi's well known in the community as well as a car salesman. He took over most of baseball at one point in time, but he had a criminal record, and we were able to get it done and get it off during COVID. So he recently got his pardon, maybe a year or two ago. Um, but no, just to see him thrive, and he recently ran for Zozo's MDJ's office.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that off his record allowed him to be able to do something like that. So I try to bring up a few spotlights. I brought up Brian Wallace not too long ago. I had a gentleman, Ezel Craig, that spoke at one of my expos. He had a criminal record. We got it off, and now he works in the Harrisburg police office as well. So, but no, I do pardons though across the world. So not just in Harrisburg or Pennsylvania. I do them out of Baltimore, South Carolina, Texas, Florida, wherever they reach out from, and we research their pardon and expungement process, and we get it done. I also do federal pardons.
Well, that's very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I talked about, it's about knowledge. So hopefully this will at least make some people think about what they need to do or what they should do, and be accountable and look back and say, maybe I need to get some things straightened out. That's the first thing. And so I'm going to move to a couple other things as time progresses on, because you're into some other things as well. And so I'm just saying to my audience, you can be able to reach her. Matter of fact, you can Google her and it'll come up. And why do I know that? Because I Googled it. So I do know it came up about the kinds of things she's doing. And ladies and gentlemen, we got to help our people out. So if you know somebody out there that needs some encouragement, or if you know somebody out there that just needs a little pushing on, and I think that's very important, because I do know of people that things came up and you don't think about them, and then later on they pop up and you go, whoa, that was this year. I've been a good a good steward of my life and the things I've done for the last whatever, but yet that little blemish is there, and you think it's going to go away, and you're right. It's not going to go away. And I think one of the things I tell people all the time, I've seen people who wanted to run for office. They've come to me. They told me they had great political ambition, and they would have been good elected officials. They would have done a lot. But then they'll say, and I always ask this question when people come to me ask about running for office, do you have anything that you want to tell me that nobody knows or may know that may come up? And they'll say to me, no. And then they'll say, well, sort of, kind of. You got to do that, because let me tell you, people do research on you. And especially if they get upset with you, angry or whatever, it'll come back up and smack you right in the face. So one of the things that you want to do to make sure that doesn't happen is to clear the deck. There's a lot of you out there could run for office and do some things. There was just a situation, I know of 2 or 3 of them, where people ran for office and they had a little record, and somebody that didn't like them brought it back up and filed saying, well, they can't, because this is, so you can't be on council, you can't be on this, or you can't be on that. So if you're thinking about doing those things, get that stuff taken care of. So I want all of the artists, I just want you to know that you can reach her, Google her, and she's all over. Like she said, she can do Maryland, she does federal. So don't allow no knowledge to be the reason why, because you got knowledge today. So there's no excuse for you not understanding what you need to do. So I want to thank you on that, but I want to talk about a couple other things real quick. because you're an entrepreneur. I want my audience to know that you just do that more than just pardons, because you own. I want you to talk a few minutes about your laundromat and then your other passion that you do on abuse of women. So let's talk about those. So we got a couple minutes. So
So I tell people I clean people's lives for a living, or I clean up things for a living. So whether it's cleaning dirty laundry at my laundromat with my laundry service, or if it's cleaning up people's criminal records, I clean up people's lives for a living. So laundromat, this month I've been in business for 7 years. 7 years with the laundromat. And we also have a laundry service. So we pick up, wash, dry, and fold and deliver back for affordable fee. Like you see on the flyer, $44.99 is our red bag special for our regular customers. If not, we weigh it. We also do an initiative every month where we do homeless wash for our community. So that's our give back once a month. People come in from Tent City or from all over the city with 2 bags of clothes, and we wash them. We let them wash them, dry them, and fold them. We give them detergent and blah, blah, blah. We raise money through the community, through churches, through businesses, through regular people, cut a check, and they sponsor a month. If not, I eat the cost. So the laundromat is one of my passions, to see people have clean clothes with dignity and be able to apply for jobs with clean clothes on, and take care of their hygienes because they have clean clothes on is a big thing. We get people that say, I got a job interview and I just can't afford my, clean clothes for this job interview. I'll let them wash. We get students off the streets, whether they're juvenile probation or they're from the school district, that need clean clothes so they don't get picked on. So our clean clothes initiative is huge in the city, and trying to keep raising money to keep that alive as well. So
I'm glad that's a good initiative, and I hope that other places take on some of the vision that you have. That's why I call it. Like I said, did you know? So you help people. You give free service. They can come in and wash their clothes, and people don't understand. There are, and I know this for a fact, there are some students that go to school and they don't have clean clothes, and that's why a lot of times they are the way they are, because they're embarrassed, or kids can be very cruel and say, you smell like this. So you give them an opportunity to come in and put some clean clothes on, and you'd be surprised how that may make them think, because sometimes people have, life has not been good to them, and we don't know why, or it could have been for a lot of reasons. So you do that because you want to make people feel they are somebody. Is that why you do it?
that there's somebody that cares, and for people that need jobs. I had a guy that come in, he had an interview with UPS. He needed to wash his clothes, but he also needed a haircut. He couldn't afford a haircut. I got on the phone, I called some friends, like, hey, can you cut this person's hair? They're like, I'm busy, but I'm gonna send you the money. And I said, oh, okay. So I walked the guy up the street to the barber shop, paid the barber to cut his hair. The guy called me back 2 days later, told me he got the job, asked me if he could return a favor by coming to clean the laundromat or something or anything. He was just so grateful and in tears that somebody in the community cared enough to help him have clean clothes and help get him a haircut. So it's just those little things. We did a college initiative because parents are struggling. We're struggling out here. And so we gave out laundry baskets to kids going to college. And inside the laundry baskets were detergent, bleach, dryer sheets, and all the things they need to get through that semester to be able to wash their clothes without having to worry about buying detergent and laundry bags and, whatnot. So we have a lot of laundry angel initiatives is what we call it, our laundry angel initiative. So yeah, we do a lot of those things, but the community, I raised, I think 17 bags or baskets for the laundry as well. So we do quite a lot of give back in the community. But yes, kids going to school. I worked in the school district briefly. We had kids that would come to school because they smelled, because their mom had mental health issues, or their mom worked a lot and didn't have time to do the laundry. Whatever the reasonings were, let's not create those burdens and barriers and traumas for that kid to get picked on.
Okay, time is running, so let's go to your last thing, your other passion. Would you please explain to them your other passion?
Domestic violence is big in our community. I call it the silent killer. It is the silent killer. I opened a safe house for battered women about 3-4 years ago, and in our order to raise money, we have events. The events is not to just raise money, but it's also to bring knowledge to our community that we have to stop creating we got to stop killing our people in our community. So many guys or females in our community are killing our spouses, our parents, and people in our community because of domestic violence, whether they have mental health issues or they were raised in that kind of trauma. Again, that's what we were faced with. So I have a domestic violence walk. It's a family fun. It's a family event to bring awareness. I have an adult kickball tournament that's coming up as well for people in our community. We bring adults, we bring youth in, just so that we're bringing awareness to all ages. And then we have our huge sneaker gala where people get dressed up in the community. They wear their craziest, nicest, expensivest, whatever sneakers. And we have a good time. We have dinner, we fellowship, we have a silent auction. We always look for donations for that. So we try to bring awareness in the community through our domestic violence. So we're always looking for donations, but ways to give back, ways to bring awareness, by all means necessary.
Now, one of the issues that I've been looking at, and I'm going to do something on, is mental health. And we don't realize that mental health is a problem in our community. And we, for whatever reason, we don't want to take ownership to it. And I think you're right. A lot of times, some of the issues that happen is because of mental health. And we need to address that. But one of the most important things is that as we're seeing that you do many things. And I commend you on doing many things. And sometimes we don't get the credit for it. And one of the things that bugs me more than anything else, ladies and gentlemen, is for whatever reason, I don't know about us. You can do some good things and nobody knows. Lord, you do one bad thing the whole world knows about and they talk about it. And so I'm telling us, we need to do a better job of supporting people and telling people they're doing a good job. And we need people to look at what she's doing and have some people to step up to fill in the shoes. Because the reason I have this program, like I said a few minutes ago, was because I want people to know. A lot of people didn't even know about pardons or expungements and didn't know what you had to do or where you had to go. So now you don't have an excuse. You had an excuse yesterday. And you had an excuse probably at 10:30. But you don't have an excuse now. And as she said, she's all over. So you don't have an excuse. You can call and get some information. And remember, knowledge is valuable. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, way back, they didn't even want you to read and write. They didn't want you to read and write. But now you can read and write. So therefore, there's no excuse. And most of y'all Google everything anyway. You can tell me who won the football game and who scored the touchdown or who made the basket. But now it's more important that we start looking at life. It's more important that we start looking at human beings and what they're doing. So, we got somebody out here is doing something. But guess what? A lot of you out there are doing the same thing she's doing, but nobody don't know. So please tell your story. Go out there, reach out, help people. I mean, a lot of people need to get their records straightened out. And I know you don't want to tell nobody. And I do understand that. But don't do it for somebody else. Do it for yourself. Because I said when I started this program today, accountability is very important. We got to talk to young people. We have to be encouraging. We have to listen to their side, vice versa. We don't know why they do some of the things they do. But maybe if we step up and start to communicate, we can do a little better for our community. Because I've said this, and I'm going to leave with this. We keep waiting on somebody to come in our community to rescue us. Ladies and gentlemen, it ain't going to happen. If we don't do it for ourselves, then it's on us. So I want to thank you for tuning into my program today. As I said, if it's too fast for you, you can Google her. You can call her. She's willing to listen to you. but just think she did some other things too. So maybe some other communities, maybe you guys may want, or women may want to say, you know what? Maybe we need to help some of the homeless out or whatever. Because we don't know why they are the way they are. Could be mental health. Could be a lot of reasons. Maybe they don't want to walk around with dirty clothes, or it could be kids or whatever. We need to become much more warm and much more compassionate to our fellow man, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting tough out there. It's getting tough, and we're in a survival mode. And so I commend all of you out there that's doing wonderful things, and keep doing wonderful things. And thank you. Thank you for all of you. And thank you for being a pillar in the community. But at the same time, we need to clap and give you your acclimates now, not later on. We want to give you your roses now and not later on. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you soon.
Thank you for watching Did You Know with Richard Utley. Please mark your calendar and join us every first and third Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Did you know? If you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you have an interesting topic or individual that you would like to see us discuss during future broadcasts, you can reach out to us on Facebook at Richard Utley. Until next time, have a nice day, and we will see you again for another Did You Know, and can be found on most of your favorite social media platforms.